Morning. I think we are good to start now, and welcome. I think this is going to be the first session for a lot of us, and we are very excited to share with you what we have been working for the last year. The IXP initiative is a community-driven initiative that is looking to incentivize companies to guide new people that is just starting to Drupal. They want to work with us, but they are struggling to find their path. And we want them to be able to start a career in Drupal and actually find a job. I think I pretty much summarized everything that we are going to talk about today. So my name is Ana Laura. I am a Drupal developer. I work with a Drupal shop or Drupal tech company. We are expanding our scope not only to develop websites, but also helping our clients to build their business in the technology area. I do a little bit of everything. I do a little bit of front-end site building and a little of back-end developer. And this is my husband, Carlos, and the reason why I'm here, probably.
You introduce me?
I'm to introduce you.
You're introducing everybody.
I'm introducing everybody? Okay. Sorry for that. So Carlos, he has been a technical account manager in Akia for the last 10 years. And he now is a independent company owner with his partners that are here to support us. And we are trying to connect developers from Latin America to the US community. Is that good? Mike, do you want to present yourself?
Sure. Yeah, that's me with the fish. Drupal developer and trainer. I've been around for a long time. Is that
You
it?
need to do the switch.
Oh. Hi, sorry. Hi, Mike. Drupal developer and trainer. I've been in the Drupal community for 19 years. I just had my 19-year anniversary. And this is one of, this program has been kind of bouncing around in the back of my head for a while, and I got lucky enough to find two wonderful people who kind of had similar ideas, and yeah, we've just kind of we've talked about it for a long time and focused the program quite a bit, and we're ready to get this thing going. So excited to talk about it.
So this is our main point to talk about today. We're talking about the origins of this initiative, the kind of like an overview of the general starting of this program, the journey that we call it the IXP journey, and how people that is new to Drupal is getting into participate more into the community, and what are we trying to accomplish with this initiative. And we are going to finish up with the current status and how can you join to the program and collaborate with the initiative. So I think it was 2 years ago when my stepson, Santiago, he didn't know what to do with his life. And we offer him to be trained in Drupal. And we say, like, you can make a little bit more money than working in a grocery store, and you can learn different skills, and you may find what you want to do at the end. And we found Mike's program and support him for 6 months, so he didn't have to work. He just have to focus on studying and learning Drupal for a year or so, and we wanted to find a job for him. But we went to DrupalCon, we went to the job fair, and he couldn't find a job. There were no available positions for somebody that didn't have experience in tech. He didn't know how to work in a group of people. He was not ready to talk to people directly, and he have a lot of gaps in his life experience in general. So we needed to do something. This from the beginning, this has been a group effort. We talk to people and we find that everybody have in some way experienced this with friends, with coworkers, trying to bring people to the community, and they find these like blockers that they couldn't overpass. We talk with people from Europe, from Latin America, from South Africa, from Australia, from Asia, and everybody have in a different way found that it was really a problem to bring new people to Drupal. And this is us in Lille 2023, when we actually created the initiative in Drupal.org like a thing. We wanted to, from the beginning, to work with the Drupal Association and with the Drupal project and make something that fits inside of the whole organization. Let's say Drupal is an organization and we are all working together to make this happen. So the general idea was to incentivize organizations to train and hire new people, to make them work with the company, with real projects in some way. We wanted to make use of Drupal.org and give value to Drupal.org, provide a place for organizations and new people to meet here, and to also make use of the Drupal contribution system that is being a strength in the last year, and we think is the only currency that we have for companies to find value on contribution and collaboration. It's not the only one. We know we do this because we believe in sharing our experience, and our knowledge will grow. But if you think in terms of a company trying to survive in this market, we need to give them value.
All right, so I'm going to talk about the journey of an IXP or an inexperienced Drupal person. So this is a path that a lot of us have probably been on, where you find Drupal, you decide, okay, seems like it's worth my time. This is something I want to get more involved with and possibly make my profession. And the first step for all of us is to learn Drupal somehow. We are not going to even try to prescribe how that should be done. People learn differently in different ways. There's training programs like mine. There's amazing resources online. There's great events that people can go to. There's books out there. There's a lot of ways to learn Drupal, whether it's in a structured or an unstructured way. But at some point, after a certain amount of either self-learning or group learning or whatever, you're ready for, start getting some confidence and you're ready for your first gig. Whether it's a small volunteer gig, or it's a small contracting gig, or if you're lucky enough to find a company that's willing to hire you as a new Drupal developer. But at that point, you are an inexperienced Drupal developer. And that's kind of our definition of what an IXP is. It's someone who's been trained, or someone who has learned Drupal, who has some skills that can be valuable, but has zero experience. And those of you that have been in the community long enough, and those of you that have either looked for jobs or posted jobs, know there are very few, like single-digit, per year jobs that are offered, especially on jobs at Drupal.org, that are for people with zero experience. It's just, it's like Halley's Comet, That's the gap. That's the problem we're trying to fix. because if you look around Drupal events, DrupalCon, there's a lot of people getting older and not a lot of younger people coming in or inexperienced people to fill that gap. And that's not good, right? That's a problem that needs to be solved. So I look at this initiative, and one of the reasons I'm so jazzed about it is there's everybody wins here. It's a big win for the community because we're providing an avenue for folks to come in and get trained and kind of build up that base. Carlos recently wrote a great blog post about the Drupal as a pyramid with experienced folks up top and new folks on the bottom. And our base is not that wide right now, which means we're not that stable. We need to widen that base. The way to widen that base is to encourage new developers. The way to encourage new developers is to have work for them, paid work. That's the problem we're trying to solve. So the company workbox, that's often that first gig is often the hardest thing for inexperienced Drupal developers. That's the problem we want to solve. So the way we're going to solve it, or the way we're going to try and solve it, is by incentivizing organizations to hire new inexperienced Drupal developers. So as part of this, we've actually had to define what an inexperienced Drupal developer is. We've had to establish minimum requirements for that first gig. So the hiring organization has to hire someone at a minimum number of hours, at a paid, it has to be a paid gig. There has to be mentoring provided, and we provide minimums, but we're not providing we're providing the minimum amount of guidelines so that it can be successful. And at the end of it is the big carrot. The big carrot is contribution credits. And Carlos will get into that later, but it's a pretty big carrot that we're able to offer. In addition to some smaller things like exposure on Drupal.org for these participating organizations who successfully complete these IXP engagements. And the goal is by the end of all this, by the end of that first engagement, you are now an experienced Drupal developer. Now, granted, you're still probably in that junior developer phase, and that's not lost on us at all. But the current scope of the IXP project that we're talking about here is for inexperienced Drupal developers. So let's talk about the scope. This is my favorite thing to talk about because I like to say no, and I got to say no a lot. Because every time we turned around, people were trying to suggest that we expand the scope. And eventually I convinced these two to agree with me that the answer is more often no than yes. So our scope to get this thing launched, because it needs to be launched. With clients, a lot of times, my view on let's start with the MVP. Let's not add necessary complexity until we know that we need it. We have to get the ball rolling. So what we've done and where we are right now is we've defined what an IXP is. One of the things we've defined is less than 3 months of experience. It defines a new inexperienced Drupal developer. We've defined a core set of skills that, and again, it's not super prescriptive, but we have defined, if you want to be an IXP, you should know at least this much. You can know more, great, but you should know at least this much. We were adamant from the beginning that we didn't want to build something that is outside of the normal Drupal ecosystem. So we knew from the beginning we were going to need the Drupal Association's help because we wanted to integrate on jobs.drupal.org. And Carlos will show you that later on as well. We defined basic conditions of the engagement. By the way, all this stuff is online. We'll have a URL for you in a few minutes. Basic conditions of the engagement. Minimum number of hours, must be a paid position, minimum mentoring ratios.
The blog and the
Yes.
credits.
Yeah. The IXP has to actually provide contributions back to the community as part of their engagement. They have to write a blog post about their engagement, things like that. There's also on both sides, both the IXP and the hiring organization have to submit reports back to us basically right now, and we're looking for volunteers, so it's not us. as that engagement goes on, so that we nip problems in the bud. We don't want to find out at the end of the engagement it was a hot mess. We want to know early so that we can course correct early as well. So there's reporting requirements as well. Nothing too onerous, but enough so that we know that things are working. So we covered that. And then finally, at the end of it, if the IXP is happy, if the hiring organization is happy, then we back up the truck and dump a boatload of contribution credits to the hiring organization. We provide them exposure through Drupal, official Drupal social media channels, and a case study on Drupal.org. Here's a lot of all the things we've said no to so far. It'd be great if we had improvements for new contributors that makes it easier for IXPs to contribute back. That's a much bigger discussion than what we're having here. Collaboration, finding outside organizations to kind of work with to help us with this. We're not there yet. It's a great idea. Writing documentation or trainings as part of the IXP program. That was a hard no, because that takes a lot of time. I'm going to skip down to certifications. That's a whole other ball of wax as well. Case studies is actually we've said yes to. And that's something that we know that we have to work really hard on in the next few weeks, especially, is helping these hiring organizations with ideas on how to utilize an IXP, right? What kind of tasks are good for inexperienced Drupal developers, that can both help your business and both move the IXP further along their journey. So that's something that we've already started collecting some raw data. We just have to get it out in a form and share that with potential hiring organizations. So it's been a lot of no's because everything that we've said yes to has advanced the primary goal, which is incentivizing organizations to hire new Drupal developers. All right, so now for the exciting part with Carlos.
Do this. Hey everybody. So let's talk where we are right now. And this is the exciting part, because right now we're launching this. It's not anymore an initiative, it's a program. So to give you an idea, as they mentioned, one of the things that we wanted was to work with the Drupal Association and Drupal.org. Why? To give it some legitimacy. I cannot say that word. And because we wanted credits. We wanted, the only currency we have in Drupal right now is credits. So we needed something developed on jobsdrupal.org. So we got to an agreement with the Drupal Association. They made a proposal of what they could do for us. They are very interested. If you were in the community summit, you heard Tim Doyle saying, like, yeah, we're working very close with this. So part of this presentation changed last week when Tim reached out to us, Tim Hennen, and told he's ready. And here we are now. So what is next for everybody? We have 3 different profiles. The hiring organization. A hiring organization can find all the information and requirements on that link. So in drupal.org/IXP, you're going to find all the information. We still have to put some more information in there, but we try to cover everything that you need to know, the steps, and how to start working on this. At some point next week, it is almost done, but Jairo helped me realize that the site needed some fixes. We're going to have a site on drupal-ixp.site, and it's going to be like a registration site to do follow-ups on this. How it's going to work in this site, and that's the 3rd step. If you have posted in jobsdrupal.org, the post has a price. So we're going to get coupons for that post. The IXP posts are going to be free. So the first step that you need to do when the site is out is go and request a coupon. So we're going to have coupons from the Drupal Association, and we're going to assign them to people that register. We really want people to register because that actually shows the commitment to do it, right? Like it's not like, oh, I want to do it. It's actually going, give me a coupon, I'm going to post a job. Once you post the job, and it's not in here, but it's what's going to happen, you can go in the site, create an engagement, invite your IXP, invite your mentor, make him part of the site, create the engagement where you're going to tell us, I'm engaging with this IXP, this is the work that I think we're going to do. I agree to provide paid work. I agree to provide 160 hours at least, if that's one of the requirements. It's going to be paid. I'm going to provide a mentor at least 1 hour of mentoring for 10 hours paid or work, at least. And then every 2 weeks, you can go to the site, you and your mentor, or the IXP and the mentor, sorry, go and provide a bi-weekly report where we ask, did you have a mentor? Did you work in things that improve your skills? Maybe you found something that is hard. Did you already wrote a blog post, or did you already had a contribution in Drupal? And this is something important. We're looking for the initiative to incentivize also contribution. So we just don't want a developer. We want a developer that is used to contribute. What is a contribution is the Drupal way. What we're going to look for is not that the contribution of going into an issue and say, yes. Like, it happens. We want at least, a little contribution. It doesn't have to be a patch. It doesn't have to be something advanced, but a contribution that actually helps the issue, a documentation, translation. So they will be able to provide those links. We're expecting at least 3 of those at the end in a blog post. Whenever you're ready, you create a final report, set your engagement into final review, and here it is, and I'm going to talk about that later. You get the reviewers to check everything. And what we're trying to do, and this is very important, we do not want people gaming the system. We don't want a company gathering 10, 100 people, especially in our countries. I'm from Colombia. I can see that happening. 20 people and saying, like, yeah, I have 20 IXPs, give me all the credit. We really want them to, help them, train them. And I realized yesterday, somebody made me realize that when we say training, ties up to something that we had to say no a lot. And is this a training initiative? It's no, not another training initiative. We are in the middle between the training and actually getting a job as a professional Drupal developer. It's that little space where you don't have the experience to be hired by a company, but you are trained and you know Drupal, you know how to move a field, you know how to do a couple things in Drupal. That's where the IXP fit, and that was something that we had to say no a lot. Is like, we need to fix the training. Like, no, I know we do sometimes, but we have good companies at Drupal Easy, Debug Academy, many. So anyway.
Can I add one thing?
Yes.
So the other thing that we're all very cognizant about and kind of expecting is that we know that we don't know everything. We know that there's going to be changes as we learn, right? As we start getting those first IXPs through the system, and whether it be on the reporting side of it, on the reward side of it, on the contribution side of it, like the condition, the terms that we have, the reporting requirements that we have, we know will likely change. And that's where a lot of the feedback that we expect to get back from IXPs and the hiring organizations is going to be super valuable. Because we don't want to have this a program full of like reporting and paperwork and hoops and stuff. We want to have the minimum. But we also want to, as Carlos mentioned, it's hugely important that we maintain the integrity of the system. Because the amount of reward is consistent with a program that has high integrity. So that is like of utmost importance to us. And we know that we don't know everything yet.
And something important is, while we wanted to keep the scope narrow, and that was intentional, as Mike said, it's also because we want this to be regionalized. We want Colombian companies hiring Colombians. We want people in every region hiring their local talent And there is talent that doesn't speak English, and Laura mentioned that about our company, and that's what we're trying to do, is, Jairo knows this, there is a lot of talent in Colombia that do not speak English. They're not available to the rest of the world because they don't have the communication. We want to find ways to bridge that gap, but we're also willing to working on developing those local markets, right? Like having talent that is priced at the price of the market, because it's not the same in the United States to Colombia to Peru, Uruguay, that I see people here. So once you do that, you receive your code, you post your job in jobs.drupal.org. And it's a special place in jobs.drupal.org where you see an IXP hub now, and those jobs are going to show up there. And once you are reviewed, once we see you did what we hope you can do with an IXP, then you get the big carrot, as Mike called it, and you get contribution credits. Now, who has done contribution credits and know how many credits you get for an issue, how many credits do you get for whatever you do? If a company hires an IXP, train them to work in the training. I didn't say what's the training. The training is how to work in a team, how to do Git workflows, how to create an issue, follow an issue, do discover, do their estimation of the issue, actually solve a problem, create a pull request. That's the experience most people don't have. They know how to do Drupal, but don't how to work or how to do more advanced things. Upon successful completion, you get 250 credits for each IXP, with a limit of 4 per year. So if you haven't done contribution, if you have heard about the Drupal Certified Partner Program, I believe it's bronze or gold is 1,000 credits that you need to have to be able to be a gold partner. It's a gold or bronze for 1,000?
I don't know.
But it's not the basic one. The basic one is 250, right? So it is a lot of credits. And we're very happy, and we have to share that when we I will share it. When we started talking, we said, like, if the Drupal Association doesn't give us like X amount of credits, and it has to be a big chunk, and this is kudos to the association, because it is like when you're getting a job and you're hoping for your offer, and it comes back really high. That's what happened. We're like, okay, yes.
I have it for you. Bronze is 150, silver 500, and gold 1,000, and I can go up from there. But
Yeah, so with one engagement, you qualify for bronze, right? I'll also mention that a core credit, it has a weight of 10, so that's worth roughly 10 credits. So this is worth 25 core credits. And amazingly, a few months ago, the Drupal Association put a dollar value on a commit, on a credit, at $100. So add 2 zeros to 250, and you'll see what the value is in contribution credits that you get from one engagement. So this was an incredible just gift from the Drupal Association that, when we saw this number, it was during a Zoom call, and I just decided I'm going to stop talking for fear of saying something stupid and having that retracted. I'm like, thank you, goodbye.
Yeah, it was really for the two of us, like, we're ready. We're going to make him give us all the credits we want. I was thinking this amount, like, yes, sir, yes, no, yeah. Mm-hmm. Good. But there is another beautiful thing that we saw about this. You heard I mentioned we want this regionalized, right? So 250 credits can really make a small region. We look at a little, of the countries and regions, Colombia. I've been talking to my Latam friends that this is very interesting. Can make you jump up to 3 pages in the little
marketplace listing, the Drupal.org marketplace.
Yeah,
listing.
in the Drupal.org, marketplace system. Okay. There's no marketplace. So let's continue. So if you are an IXP, and again, remember IXP, everybody asks, is inexperienced, but it's kind of long to be saying, like, for inexperienced So IXPs, go to the IXP Developer Hub. You will find it in the homepage of jobs.drupal.org. And we hope you're going to find a lot of jobs there looking for IXPs. This hub is only for us. It's not all the jobs. You don't have to navigate jobs.drupal.org. Everything will happen here. And that is part of what we needed the Drupal Association to develop.
Can we show? I want to show them.
Yeah.
Can we do that real quick?
Oh, and this is important. Mike is going to show you how to register on the site as an IXP as well, because this is important. In the next coming weeks, there is also going to be the other side of the hub. For companies, we're going to have a hub of IXPs that are saying, I want to be hired. I'm an IXP.
Yeah, so real quick, if you're a new Drupal developer interested in participating, the first step, something you do today, even though there's no jobs available yet because we're just getting started, is go to jobs.drupal.org, log in. If you already have a Drupal account, you can log in easily. Down here in the footer, there's a big green Be Found. Click that. It'll bring you basically to your profile page. Click on Edit, and then check this box. Create and activate a job seeker profile so that companies and recruiters can find me. And that will basically open up a lot more fields. And we're going to utilize this data on the page that Carlos was just talking about so that hiring organizations can look for IXPs and just as IXPs can look for hiring organizations.
And there should be a thing where you put you're an IXP, right?
Is that there yet? I think is it? Yes, right here. There we go. Job category, IXP developer. Thank you for that. Okay.
So for volunteers, we're going to need a lot of help. One of the things that was clear in all our conversations with the DA is they don't have the budget, they don't have the bandwidth, and we understand they are doing a lot. We're in a moment where we need them doing a lot. So we're going to need volunteers. We are going to need volunteers to manage the workflows that I was mentioning before, to make sure a company is following the minimum requirements, that a company provided good contribution, really. You know, like if they say they did a contribution, again, we don't mean something advanced. We just mean don't go in an issue and say it happens, because that's not really a contribution to the issue. Maybe say it happened to me in this version of Drupal and I was doing this. Now we have other steps to reproduce. That's a contribution. But just kind of that's the things that as volunteers we will be looking for, that everybody does reports, that we are going to need help from companies and volunteers to write case studies on how they have done some internships. Write some best practices that they're planning to do. So we have like Thomas over there from Bluefly has been writing a lot of documentation on how Bluefly wants to take advantage of that. We're going to make that public soon, so other companies can copy or just use the model as a base. We had other companies doing that I can't remember right now, but yeah, we are asking to people that has gone either as an intern or having interns, give us their best practices case studies so they are a good source of information, because many companies ask, but how do you manage an intern? Like, don't worry, we're going to try to provide that. You can go to that link, and the URL goes there, right? Which is the area on drupal.org/IXP for volunteers. You are going to need to register in the site that is going to be soon ready. It's going to be. And I believe is we just need you to collaborate.
This is our final slides. If you want to collaborate, if you want to join to this initiative, we have the Slack channel in Drupal Slack, IXP Fellowship. You can join to the channel and ask questions or offer your help. Please write how do you want to contribute, write your name, and we are going to be there. Also, go to drupal.org/project/IXP. There is all the documentation from the initiative and how do we start, how do we get to this point today. There are issues in that project that we need help with, documentation, and we also want case studies to be shared with the community about how do you get here, how do you want to do it in your company like Bluefly. There's a lot of things to figure out when you start hiring new people, and you need to take your senior developers to take 1 hour of their time to help somebody else. And we know we all need help. Go to live events, go to Drupal camps in your region, and if you want to propose a presentation about the IXP, you just let us know. We will share the slides with you. We will have a conversation before the presentation so you feel confident you can do it. And this is very important. The more people know it, it's going to be more rewarding for all of us to have and we will have more people in Drupal. That is the final goal. And we are open to questions right now. Thank you very much.
Before we finish the thank you, so this has to be said. For the side of the registration, we have to thank Steam, who gave us the hosting. We have to thank you, Sid, who yesterday told us that he is Jairo from Sid is right there. They are going to provide a designer so we can actually think about UX and making the site very, easy to follow for companies and for the process. So I just wanted to mention that.
Questions? Yes.
First, I want to say thank you, guys. I mean, we're definitely supportive and excited for this program. We were actually thinking about also the need for some small businesses and mom and pops, nonprofits that really don't have the money to develop, in Drupal sites, and pairing that with like 3 IXP with 3 senior developers and working a program that allows senior developers to mentor those 3 IXP people and then have the ability to build like 3 websites together and go through a program where they get to play PM, designer, developer, and get to go through the whole kind of setup. And then, and then all the money would go back to those interns. And so we were thinking about that for a program within Bluefly, but I'd love to hear if that falls within and what your opinion is on that.
Yeah.
First off, you're going to have to summarize that question
Yeah,
for the
recording.
recording.
Thank you, Thomas. So Thomas was talking about the opportunity to give services to small companies and small projects and take a kind of like advantage of that. I don't know if you like that word, but you can use the IXPs to work in these small projects and at the same time help your IXP to have a real world experience. And sometimes we think small projects are not valuable, but they do have value for many, many people.
I can respond to that as well. And I'm going to go off script here and first say yes. Because we purposely, the requirements that we have are purposely loose enough to allow stuff like that. Like, I don't think there's anything that you said, and these two can correct me if I'm wrong, that wouldn't fit in our existing model, right? So we want to give hiring organizations the flexibility to come up with unique and novel ways to utilize their IXPs, but with bare minimum requirements. And we want that knowledge given back. Like, how did that go? Was that bonkers good, or we need to change this next time? Like, that's the type of information that we'll be focusing on next month, writing these kind of best practices for hiring organizations. Probably the biggest pushback I get from hiring organizations, not even pushback, but questions, Other than the fact this is a terrible time in the Drupal ecosystem to be launching this program. We had great timing. But other than that, is like, what do I do with someone who has no experience? And there's a lot of things you can do, and there's also specific things you can do to, and in my belief, rather quickly turn that inexperienced person into someone that you can actually bill time for. So there's a lot of great ideas out there. We just need to share those ideas in a very easily digestible way with, the potential, the folks unlike you who aren't ready to jump in with us yet. So.
And I look at it as a way of subsidizing, because like I said, it's a hard time in our industry right now.
Right.
It's a good way
Right.
to help people, nonprofits, small businesses, and help those IXP developers.
Right.
And all you're doing is volunteering some senior developers to teach them.
Right.
We've all been IXP.
Yeah. And I see two questions over here, but before we look over there, let me just say real quick. Another reason why we have been pushing to get this launched as like an MVP is because once, I'll just say Drupal, right? The community or the DA, it's probably both at this point. Once there's a structured program in place that has somewhat of a track record, that will start unlocking the ability for us to go after grant money to fund this program, to help organizations to maybe offset the cost or do something unique and novel. But that's unavailable if there's no program in place already. So we need to, lay the groundwork, have the structure, have something to show for it before we can potentially go for that money. So I'll turn it back to Anna Lou, who can go to the other.
But I want to add something. So, yes, again, contribute first. Don't forget that we want contribution. This is a fantastic way to do the program because you're adding double contribution. You're adding to the base not only of developers, but also sites using Drupal that can grow. And you need to put that in the IXP area.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I'm involved with a nonprofit called TechSoup out of San Francisco, and they've got a program that's called Quad, which does a whole bunch of different things. However, I kind of did a mini version of what you guys are talking about, where I connected a fellow by the name of John Romano, who's the executive director for Disaster Central. Their site is in Drupal, and turned out that there was a young, inexperienced Drupal developer who came to our camp last summer, and we connected the two, and it actually has turned into real work for her now. So she did a bunch of work on their site, got a little bit more experience that allowed her to get that onto a resume, and it turned into real work. So
We'll be contacting you for a case study. Thank you, Matthew.
So this does work, but actually my point really is, if you want me to make some introductions to some people in Quad as well, for example, we could probably get a talk. They do live talks regularly, which could attract some folks that might be interested in sponsoring folks who are IXPs. So anyway, I'm happy to talk more about it later.
Now you have to do the summary.
Good luck,
Thank you. What is your name?
Matthew.
Matthew? Matthew's talking about a real case study or a real use case of the initiative with Quack in Chicago. Quad
in San Francisco.
San Francisco. Okay, I'm sorry. I think you talk about Drupal camp in Chicago?
No, in Colorado.
Colorado.
Stuck on Chicago.
Huh?
She's
I
looking at me.
okay. We're gonna be in Chicago presenting the IXP in 1 or 2 months. So you have what your company does?
It's not my company. It's a small client of mine. But TechSoup is a nonprofit that provides tech services and products to other nonprofits.
Okay, so he had a client with somebody with a small experience in Drupal, and you make the contact with a senior developer and have them working together to.
Yes, I did that within the Quad program of a junior developer who came to camp, and she was looking for some kind of experience that so happens, I'd been having a conversation with this guy at Disaster Central the week before. So
And it led to a job. It led to a real job.
it led to a
It,
real
it leads to a real job. Yeah, that's important. Thank you.
We can summarize that the IXP actually works.
It's working already. Someone else have
No,
Oh.
no question.
you first? Okay.
So just to clarify on the point of the need to learn before you become an IXP, does this mean that if I were to take a college student that is in a web or software development program, is wanting to intern somewhere, right, but doesn't know Drupal at all, okay, can I call them an IXP immediately when they have zero Drupal experience?
I'm gonna rephrase the question really quick. What would do with somebody that doesn't know about Drupal and your company wants to hire this person and start working with them?
Yes, and I know the question goes bigger than that because I've had that question. There are different companies that do that. And again, I was talking with Sid yesterday. If you have heard me talking about the IXP, you've heard of a company that I know started training people, and those people started being stolen by American companies. That was Sid. So they are part of everything that was in my head when we created this. Several companies have training programs, and they have asked the same question. It's like, but my people is not technically an IXP because I'm just teaching them Drupal? The answer is yes. We wanted to go through jobs.drupal.org for that stamp of approval of Drupal. You're gonna make them an IXP. Basically, when you finish your training, you're making them or halfway of your training, right? They are gonna have the skills we're hoping an IXP have. The reason we define those skills is because it is really a hard sell for a company that is not doing this, that is just want to hire somebody. Oh, but on top of that, I have to teach them Drupal and what Drupal is and how to create a content. So we did not want to ask for that. And as I said, this is not on the training, it's in the middle. So the moment your program gets to that middle is when you can go to jobs.drupal.org, and I know this doesn't sound as pretty as it should, but just ask your ISP to apply, and we don't have any requirements on how you choose the person because we want the companies to choose the person or the IXP that they want and just hire your own one to start the engagement. You already did it, right?
We do have one requirement.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So the IXP cannot have more than 3 months paid experience. Right. So they have to attest to that, and that's, if that's not the case, and well, first of all, number one, we do not want to get involved with the selection process. Right. We do have recommendations for Drupal skills that an IXP should have. If a company wants to go below those, that's fine. But we're protecting the ceiling. Like, we do not, this goes back to what Carlos was saying about gaming the system. We do not want a company to hire someone that they claim is an IXP who's been working in Drupal for 2 years. That's what we want to protect against.
Yeah, but what about the other direction? That's what I'm asking. Is
Yeah,
there
no.
a
Yeah,
minimum assessment level?
No, that's
No,
if
nothing.
the company chooses to go below what our recommended Drupal knowledge level is, that's fine. Like, we are not going to get in the way of a company wanting to hire a new Drupal developer.
And I'm
We
sorry,
just
what-
want to protect the integrity of the program.
And the piece of, I'm sorry, one little question
Yeah.
to do with you said how many hours maximum paid?
106 for the program.
Before. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna officially rephrase my answer. Yes, you can do it. We have basic skills in the site and recommendations, but again, they are recommendations. We just don't want companies having to completely train somebody. But
Unless they want to.
if you want to do it, if your IXP is a person that doesn't know, and again, I keep going back to Jairo because we're both from Colombia. We've been working together on Drupal for 10 years. We have a program that actually Costa Rica copy the Sena, where you can hire, you have to hire people that has no experience, and it's not just Drupal, that they have no experience. So yes, you can. That person is an IXP, maybe below our minimum basic skills that we're mentioning, but that's up to you.
I'll ask more questions later. I love you guys. Thank you so much. I don't know if somebody else has a question.
Yeah, we're just about out of time, so we'll do one quick question. Otherwise, we'll have to continue in the hall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just to summarize on that, I think that how I understand this, it is very important to have someone who is already trained in general, technician, web development, technical training, something like that. That is the base for someone to come to the company to get Drupal training, right? So what we have, as you said, for a year, because it is mandatory for the size of our company to train 4 people per year for free, for free for the government. We have to pay the fee. So what I see here as an opportunity is that we have the community hat and the company hat. As this is a service for the community, because we are paying someone to train them and to bring him or her into the Drupal ecosystem, So it is afterwards there is a decision whether we hire or not that person. That is the business. So I can, if there is an opportunity, I can hire that new Drupal developer, or I can give him away, to the community to be hired by someone else.
Exactly.
But already trained.
Exactly. That's the idea.
This is the everybody wins.
That's a win-win situation.
Correct.
I'm attracting people to the Drupal ecosystem. I'm doing something. I'm paying his or her training, and I'm sure that what he or her is going to give back to the market is a new, opportunity to a company to hire a Drupal developer.
Sounds like another case study.
It is another case study.
That is the general case study, That,
Yeah.
As I said.
That needs to go in the IXP site.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to post the people that, for example, the people that I don't hire in my company is loose.
Yeah.
Available.
They are loose.
Right.
Available, they're free to be hired.
Yeah.
Free to be hired, but sometimes they don't know where to go. In this case, they will know where to go.
Maybe that's the next step to the jobs. Maybe once they pass the IXP program, there's another step to this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's something we've said no to in the past because we're focused on an experience, but it's
can be
definitely
part
on
of
our
it.
radar.
And okay, before everybody goes, we had Palsera cards in front of you. It takes you to the contact page of on our website. Please don't judge. But that gets to my email. Bug me until the site is done. Feel free to start like, is ready, is it ready, is it ready? I'm okay with that because that keeps me honest. I need to fix a couple of things initially. We're gonna have better design in a little longer term, but we want to, for you guys, if you're a company, to be able to go and ask for your coupons and start posting jobs in jobsdrupal.org. And thank you, everybody.